Hi everyone, welcome to The Pen Habit. My name's Matt Armstrong and I'm glad to have you back for another video today. Today we're going to be talking about another pen from probably one of my top two manufacturers. That would be OMAS, the Italian manufacturer. This is a pen that got a lot of attention toward the end of last year. It started off as an exclusive to the Goulet Pen Company, but then was released to other folks as well. And it is the OMAS Ogiva Alba. So I'll walk you through the pen, talk to you a little bit about why it's special. Unfortunately, I waited a while to do this review, and the pen is not easily available in most places anymore. So there are a few places that still have one of the colors left, because it came in one of three colors, but it was a limited edition of, I believe, 327 per color. So this is mine that I bought from the Fountain Pen Hospital, and I'll walk you through the pen. So here's the box, comes with its plastic or this cardboard sleeve. And I happen to think that OMAS's packaging is some of the nicest in the industry right now. So it's got the silver cardboard that just slides right off the top. You have a faux suede leather or faux suede pen pouch. And the pen came in this little plastic sleeve that has the 63 of 327 indicated on there. And then the pen comes out, and this is the Ogiva Alba Violet version. It also came in a green version and an orange version. I believe the green and the violet are sold out in most places. The orange I've still seen in a couple spots as still available. This is a pen that that a lot of people got and really like. I really like mine. So let's walk through it. So this is their Ogiva model, and I'm going to pull up my Ogiva celluloid so you can see it's basically the same model, different materials and slightly different process of manufacture, but it's the same. It's about the same size, same shape, all that fun stuff. I think the first thing to talk about is the material. So this is a demonstrator pen because the material is translucent, but it's so dark sometimes it's kind of hard to tell, especially in this light, but you can see some of the paper through there. It's also filled with a dark ink, so it's hard to tell that in the barrel that it's a demonstrator, but it is. Solid cotton resin cap, and cotton resin is interesting. It's from what I understand, it's a plastic that's made from cotton seeds. It takes a long time to cure this resin and make it available for manufacture. So that is one of the things that's kind of special about this pen. As I mentioned, it comes in this dark violet, kind of a aquamarine-ish green color, and a real bright orange. And the colors of the pen were intended to be reminiscent of the colors of the Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis. The whole barrel and cap of the pen are ridged in a way that the celluloid version is not. The celluloid version is smooth. There are ridges all the way around the outside of the Alba. Other than that, it's a fairly standard cigar-shaped pen. Got a little roller on the silver-colored clip, nice and springy. And then you've got the Greek key design that says OMAS. And it goes all the way around with a smaller band there. And I don't know how well you can see it, but it's a single band that has little cutouts in it, so you can see the material through that band. It's really kind of interesting. Come down to another little washer, and then the piston filler knob in the purple down here. Open up the pen, very smooth threads, and if we're doing how many turns it takes to get the cap off, you're looking at 1.5. So underneath, we've got another band, couple bands there, small silver band. It's actually the same thing. It's one band with little cutouts and then the Greek key design. The section has the threads right in the middle of the section, which I'm not a huge fan of, but they're really not deep and they're not sharp. So even though I hold this pen almost exactly on the threads, it doesn't bother me too much. And then you've got this nib. Now this is a piston filler, so there's no cartridge or converter or anything like that. With this, OMAS pens come, a lot of OMAS pens come with either 18 karat rigid nibs or their extra flessibile nibs. This is an extra flessibile fine, so it's a 14 karat nib. One of the things I don't understand, and someone brought up, the OMAS's regular nibs, their 18 karat nibs, are really quite elaborately decorated, really nice design of the nibs. The extra flessibile nibs are really plain. And I will point out, and I'll get to this in the writing sample a little bit more, but I found that the extra flessibile on the Ogiva Alba was significantly less flexible and much wider than both of these are fines, extra flessibile fines, than the one on the Ogiva celluloid. So this one is much more flexible and has a much finer point. This one is much wider and less flexible, even though they are supposed to basically be the same nib. So I think there's probably going to be some variation in these extra flessibile nibs. So if you're not used to flex nibs and you get one of these pens, be careful. I would hate to have you spring your nib by trying to get the same flex you saw someone else get out of it if there's not consistency between the nibs. In any case, it's a nice nib. One of the other interesting things about this is an ebonite feed. Ebonite was what feeds used to be made of once upon a time before they started making them out of plastic. I find that ebonite feeds do a better job of transporting the ink to the nib, and the feed in this pen is no exception. So a lot of OMAS's pens will have not a lot, but some have plastic pens, but the higher, or plastic feeds, excuse me. I'm having a hard time talking today. But the higher up you get in the price point, the more often you will tend to find these ebonite feeds. I don't know how well you can see this, but you can also see the paper through the nib right now, which is indicative of a small problem that I had on the pen that I'm hoping to get fixed by a nibmeister here pretty soon. So let me walk you through the stats, then I'll walk you through the writing and show you all about that. So these are basically the exact same stats as the Ogiva celluloid. We are looking at 141 millimeters with the cap on. So 141, nice, decent sized pen there. 129 millimeters without the cap. So this is a pen that really is quite comfortable to use unposted. It can be posted, kind of. It doesn't post well. It posts pretty securely, but it doesn't post deeply. And I can't write with it posted. It's 172 millimeters long, so it's like a baseball bat. Feels a little back heavy to me in that particular case. This is just not a pen I would recommend using posted. You're looking at about 12 millimeters in the middle of the section, or this point of the section here, 13.4 millimeters in the barrel, and the cap, the widest point, you're looking at 15.1 millimeters. And it's a pretty lightweight pen at 14 grams, full of ink, uncapped or unposted, and 24 grams, so a 10 gram cap, if you're going to have it capped or posted. So for as large a pen as it is, because it's made out of resin and the filling mechanism, the piston filling mechanism is plastic as opposed to metal, this is a fairly lightweight pen. So those are the stats for the Ogiva Alba. Let me go ahead and do a writing sample, and then I'll talk to you about some of the things I really like and some of the things I've had a little bit of an issue with on this pen. Okay, this is the OMAS Ogiva Alba, and I am using a 14 karat gold extra flessibile fine. The ink for today is Sailor Gentle Shigure. A really deep purple color, which it's kind of hard to tell. It may look black in the video. It's got nice purple. It actually looks a little similar to Private Reserve ebony purple, but that's probably just a touch misleading, and I'll get to why in just a moment. The quote for this video is, all right. So probably the first issue I would like to tackle with this pen is this word right here. This is not a fine, even by most European standards. This is easily a medium. And I think the reason that is easily a medium is, let me just do a little bit of a wetness test and I'll show you. This pen is just drenching the page right now. It's very, very wet, a little too wet. Certainly my Ogiva celluloid was a wet pen, especially when you started getting going with the flex. But this is really quite wet. It's almost too much so. So I think this is one nib that I'm going to take to a Nibmeister and have them adjust the ink flow a little bit down, which is something I've only ever done on one other pen, which is a Homo sapiens, Visconti Homo sapiens Bronze Age. But it's just a little too wet for me. As a result, I think the extra wetness makes the pen a little wider than it appears to be. But it does have some nice bounce to the nib, although, as I mentioned, it's not anywhere near as flexible as the other extra flexibile nibs that I have used. So you can see some line variation here. You know, you can push a fair bit of line variation out of it, but you have to be careful. You don't want to spring the nib. But let me just, for comparison's sake, and this is more about a feel than about the maximum line variation you can get on it. But for instance, I mean, look at the difference in how much finer the fine is here. And it's just, I have to put much less pressure down to get the wide variation. The variation's about the same, but this just feels a lot less stiff in the process. Plus it has a finer non-pressure line than the Alba does. Now, I'm being super nitpicky here. You know, this is a fairly expensive pen. I think I bought this for $395, so it's a $400 pen. It's not cheap. Nothing that I've run into with this pen would be one of those, man, I hate this pen's kind of problems. It's just not exactly. I was hoping, having such a great experience with my Ogiva celluloid, that I would have the same experience with my Ogiva Alba. And I've come probably 85% of the way there, but this nib isn't quite as perfect for me as the celluloid nib is. In any case, the one thing I will say about this is, because it is so wet, it's nice and smooth. No skipping, no hard starting, no ink starvation. It does go through ink pretty quickly, as one might expect, clearly. In terms of reverse writing, it works pretty well. It's not super scratchy. Well, it's a little scratchy in the right to left well, in the cross strokes, it's a little scratchy. If I were one who did reverse writing, I think I'd be able to smooth that out real easily. But right side up, it's pretty smooth. It's got a forgiving sweet spot. You can get some decent bounce out of it, you know, with just a little tiny bit of pressure. So you can see there, I put about too many humps in my M there. But overall, it's a really nice pen, huge ink capacity, good ink flow, almost too good in some cases, lovely nib. But I just want a little bit of adjustment to it. And because I don't have experience working on flexible nibs, this is one where I will probably take this to the DC Pen Show with me when I go and have someone work on it. Whether, I don't know if Richard Binder's going to be there or Mike Masayama or whomever, but I'll have someone probably take a look at this when I go. It writes well, it writes really well, but it's just not, it's not everything I want it to be. So it's a minor thing, and it's going to be a little bit more feel than anything else. But I think if I can get the overall ink flow, the non-flex ink flow down just a little bit, and the line a touch finer, this will be what I was looking for. In any case, it's a lovely pen. I really like this purple color. I have argued in the past, and I still argue, that there aren't enough green pens and there aren't enough purple pens. Those are my two favorite colors, and I really love this rich kind of royal purple. I'll try to get photos. When I get the photos, I'll try to color correct them to give you a really solid sense of exactly the color. Because in this light, at least on the screen that I'm looking at right here, it looks a little bit like it's similar to the blue, the Chartres blue from my Platinum 3776 Century. It's not. It's actually more of an eggplanty royal purple color as opposed to that bluish purple. But these lights make it look a little bluer than it actually is. So anyway, that is my review of the OMAS Ogiva Alba. You can still find a few of these here and there in various retailers. They only made 327 in each of the colors, so the orange, the green, and the purple, in this cotton resin. A nice demonstrator pen, piston filler, big ink capacity. I suspect were I to get another one of these, or if I get really my next OMAS pen, I really like their extra flessibile nibs, but I haven't had a chance to use their 18 karat rigid nibs. So I think that's probably where I will go next, is to get one of these with an 18 karat non-flexible nib in there. So if you have any questions or comments, please head over to penhabit.com and leave them over there on the Penhabit website. You can also find me on social media or email me at penhabit@gmail.com. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you here next time on the Pen Habit. Bye.